Today on Straight Talk, I'm visiting with Ken Bodie, who's the president of ISSA. So Ken, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so it's good to get to know you as president of ISSA. But let's learn a little bit about yourself on a personal note and maybe some other things you do. I assume you do something outside ISSA.
Yeah, I'm married, been married 31 years, just celebrated August 5th. I have two grown boys one's in the industry, works for Tenant Floor Equipment Company, and the other was smart and got in another industry, the shredding industry. And then I've been in distribution my entire career. I've been with a company named Kelsan, which was founded in 1950. It's on the fourth generation ownership, family ownership, which is very unusual. I've been with them 35 years, so people think that I am the owner. I'm just the help, but it's been a great career. And Kelsan is a distributor of janitorial, sanitary supply, and shipping products. And so we've been a member of the ISSA for over 50 years, and glad that we're associated with the ISSA. And it was a dream come true for me to become president of the ISSA. So glad to be here.
So to become president, you're on the board for a number of years, I imagine?
I was. This was my third and unfortunately final board term. So last year I was VP-elect, this year president, and next year will be outgoing president.
Mm-hmm.
And I served two other terms, one as a distributor director, and then one term as executive officer, treasurer, and secretary.
All right. So you've been to a lot of board meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully some have been exciting.
It's always exciting with the ISSA, especially in this day and age.
Yeah. Well, I know as working for ISSA that when you guys have a board meeting, we do a lot of work to prepare for it. So I know that you have a busy couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about your company and how you guys responded to the pandemic. Maybe some details there.
Yeah, we've been blessed. Obviously, we were deemed immediately as an essential business by the state of Tennessee. We're headquartered in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. We have branches in Knoxville, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we do business in 8 states, and all 8 states deemed us essential, which was a blessing.
Yes.
And then I'm really proud of our management team at Kelsan. We pivoted, and pivot's a word that's being used a lot now, or we did a 180, and we switched to what we call critical items for our customers, 10 critical items, basically sanitizers, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, antibacterial soap, gloves, masks, thermometers, and it's been great for us. Our business is actually up overall significantly, even though our core business is down because of obviously food service and hospitality. And then building service contractors have really struggled with office buildings being closed. But overall, our company's pivoted. We've focused on those critical items, sourcing those, selling those to our customers, and it's so far so good.
Yeah, that's great to hear. You mentioned earlier you also manufacture shipping products.
We sell. We don't manufacture.
You sell, okay.
We distribute what we call shipping supplies, which would be stretch film, tape, foam bubble, just strapping. All the things that would be used in industrial situations.
Yeah, I don't know if that would apply to residential too much. I know for me, I've been getting a shipment from Amazon every day. So
yeah, I wish we sold Amazon their mailers. That would be nice.
Yeah, that would you could retire young.
Absolutely.
Well, what about your customer segments? Which ones were affected the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. Fortunately, we don't do much food service because we had a sister company for years that was a food service distributor, so we didn't want to compete with our sister company. But we do some food service, and we've seen restaurants, food service has been hit the hardest, and then hospitality almost equally as hard. And so those segments have been down, along with, especially in our Charlotte and Nashville markets, we sell a lot of building service contractors, and unfortunately, their offices that they clean have been closed. And so those 3 segments have been the hardest hit. And then schools somewhat, but that's starting to turn. So we service basically every market segment, but those 3 would be the biggest affected.
Yeah, not surprising.
Yeah.
You hear it across the board with these different segments. Let's talk about ISSA and your involvement, maybe some highlights in your year so far as president. Obviously, the pandemic is an unfortunate one.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of firsts with me. I'm the first ISSA president to hold a virtual board meeting. Because of the pandemic, we did not have our summer meeting that we normally would have. And it was a little disappointing because typically everyone brings their family to that board meeting. But we had a virtual board meeting over a 3-day period, and it went very well virtually. So that was a first for me. And it now appears I'm going to be the first ISSA president not to have a show in person. We're going to have a virtual show, as you know, because of the pandemic. Originally, we were scheduled to have it in Chicago. I guess the mayor in Chicago was not going to allow a convention until they have a vaccine.
Yeah.
We tried to move it to Las Vegas, but to protect the safety and health of everyone, we thought it was most prudent to have a virtual trade show. So a lot of firsts for me as ISSA president, but that's okay. I'll always remember 2020.
Yeah, most memorable for sure. So going back a year before you really started your term, if you'd seen this coming, would you have made a different decision? Maybe.
Oh, absolutely not. I've
Okay.
been blessed in that the ISSA pivoted big time with GBAC, the Global Biorisk Advisory Council. And I really want to give John Barrett, the executive director of the ISSA, credit. In 19, he came to the board and he had this idea, hey guys, let's form this Global Biorisk Advisory Council segment for the ISSA. And he's got just the person in mind, Patty Ollinger.
Mm-hmm.
And what foresight or luck or brilliance John had, because that was late 19 that we executed that. And then, of course, as we all know, on February 29th, leap year day, is when I think we had the first death in the United States, and when all this pandemic took off. And so it's GBAC's been a blessing for the ISSA, for all of our members. I can tell you from Kelsan, our business, every single salesperson, including myself, we went through the GBAC certification. And so we are GBAC trained advisors, and we've added it to our business cards, and we're helping our customers to learn more about how to keep their customers and their employees safe and healthy.
Yeah, GBAC is an amazing part of ISSA and amazing timing. I
Oh,
mean,
it's incredible.
it's just
Incredible.
it's really interesting.
So hopefully somehow that'll get linked to me, even though I had nothing to do with it. I voted yes for it. We'll say that.
You were on the board.
That's
It was
right.
presented. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad that happened because it could have went the other way, although I don't see why, but it was a great decision.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question I have for you. What would have happened to companies, facilities, contractors if there was no ISSA or GBAC when this happened?
Oh, wow. Well, life goes on, the world goes on, but I think it'd have been much more difficult for the end users and distributors without GBAC's guidance in the ISSA. Like I said, it's just been a blessing. It forced Kelsan, our distribution company, to be a better company. GBAC forced us to look at how we're helping our customers, and we put together what we're calling a sanitation disinfecting score, where we'll come in and visit our customer locations, and they get a score 0 to 100 based on how well they're doing hand hygiene, where they have sanitizers placed, are they wearing masks, do they have the proper social distancing, and we put an entire score together, and it just lines right up with GBAC that we can introduce our customers to that training as well, and even let them get their facilities GBAC Star certified. So I just can't imagine how much more difficult this would be without GBAC.
How is ISSA doing from your viewpoint as a longtime member?
I think they're doing very well during this pandemic. And like I said, the fortunate foresight of John Barrett to ask the board to move forward with the Global Biorisk Advisory Council segment. And I just can't fathom, because as you know, all other areas of the ISSA are important as well. And so they link together. And so I think the ISSA is more important to its membership than ever before, whether you're a manufacturer, a distributor, an end user, a building service contractor. Every market segment needs the ISSA at this time. And I think Bill Balak and his team, with what they're doing with legislation, the advocacy there has been really crucial during this pandemic. So I give the ISSA an A+ on how they've reacted to this.
And you're not just saying that because you're president.
Really, I have nothing to do with that. As a president, I just get to learn from an incredibly talented staff at the ISSA, which you're a part of, by the way.
Hmm.
So
Well,
I,
thank
I
you.
really mean that. The ISSA, when I accepted my role as president in my speech, I just said I can't fathom if I was going to start a business, the talent that I would attract hopefully would be the same talent level the ISSA has on their staff.
Yeah, I work with a lot of great people, that's for sure.
Sure.
And working with the board as well, it's fun doing these projects with different board members. But speaking of projects, are there anything in the pipeline you're working on? Big picture coming up?
In terms of the ISSA or for Kelsan?
Either one's fine.
Yeah. Well, Kelsan, we are working very hard to figure out what the new normal looks like post-pandemic. And so obviously we don't have a crystal ball, but we think that the entire landscape's changed in terms of there'll be less people returning to work in offices, more people working from home.
Hmm.
We're trying to understand how we can help with that and assist our customers with that. And just continue to improve every day. In terms of the ISSA, that strategy that we had been scheduled, we've been working on strategy for our last two board meetings, and then the pandemic hit. And so, ironically, GBAC turned into our strategy naturally. And so it's working very well. So,
Yeah, some of my projects were altered a bit as well. So we have to focus on what's important at the time.
absolutely.
Yeah. So any final words, Ken, on what you would like to say to the members of ISSA or potential members who are watching this?
I would just say that, first of all, I am grateful that I was elected president of the ISSA. It was a lifelong dream that I never thought would happen. When I became involved in the ISSA in the early 80s, I was much younger then. I was part of the YES organization, which
Oh, okay.
it's now called NextGen, but YES at the time meant Young Executive Society. And that was my first start, my first taste of the ISSA. And from there, it led to 3 different board terms. And so I would say if you're not involved in the ISSA, please get involved. And one of my focuses this year would have been NextGen, which is the next generation of leaders in our industry. Unfortunately, this pandemic won't allow us to get together, but that's going to be my focus. And my last year on the board as outgoing president is to reignite the interest in our younger people, the next generation of leaders in our industry, and get them involved in the ISSA. Because after all, we're the only industry association for our segment of business. So, and by the way, we're the best. So,
Without doubt, that's for sure.
yeah.
Well, Ken, I appreciate you getting a few minutes of your time today. I know you're a busy guy with everything that you have going on. So maybe we'll do another one of these down the road.
Thank you, Jeff. It was a pleasure talking to you, and stay healthy.
All right, you too. Talk to you later.